Because we do see slight emotion from Tamlin at times. And does that mean she made out with the Attor? Welcome back to the Book Breathing Bitch Queens podcast. I'm Allie.
And I'm Sam. And this week we are reading chapter 43 of ACOTAR. This is our last final task. This is our little Shanky moment. We've got to stab some people, and then we get an answer to our riddle, and
No, the answer to the riddle is not in this chapter.
yes, oh, sorry. It is not. I read ahead. The answer to the riddle is in the next chapter.
Exposed for reading ahead.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So yes, this is just the task. And when she figures out the last piece of the curse that has been hidden from her.
Oh yeah.
We get a little surprise appearance in our task. We weren't expecting Tammy boy to end up down in the gauntlet with us.
I was like, no. Oh yeah, yes. Very shocking for Tamlin.
So I did make a note that the vibe of this one, it feels different, right? She's like,
yeah,
everyone is silent,
makes
everyone's
sense.
and I wrote like taking it serious now, and it kind of makes sense. Like I don't want to hold it against the people who I'm like, well, yeah, now you're taking it serious, because like in all reality, she shouldn't have been able to win, and so yeah, the first and second trial, you're like, okay, like she's gonna lose. I might as well enjoy someone else being hurt than me and my own, right? Because
Yeah.
that's kind of a reality of really dark, sick times. But also, I do like that it's mentioned in here that she's like, perhaps they were doing what Rhys was doing, and like all of the cheering and all of the bets was just for show, was that like that false loyalty. And so I like that there's a space for both of those options to be like, hey, maybe it's just that fucking dark down here and they're glad that someone else is catching the flack, and they're just going to lean into like the kind of debauchery of it because, right, we know that happens, right? It's like groupthink.
Yeah. I
Or
never thought that was happening that much, except for the people who liked Amarantha. I thought we were like seeing the shaping of the reactions from like her supporters.
yeah.
Other people were just kind of blending in, but they were all faking it. That's kind of what I've
Yeah.
always assumed. But maybe that's
I
too generous. It is natural, I guess, to mob mentality.
yeah. I was kind of okay with both options. I can see like as a writer possibly being able to use either direction to world build, right? To be like, this is like, I don't know, part of it, I don't want to like take it here always, but like, part of it is kind of like, like Nazi Germany, right? It's like one of the darkest times, well-known times in human history. And, you have sane, intelligent, good, quote unquote, good people, good families, whatever, who
Mhm.
fall under Nazism, right?
Yeah.
And then lean into it for a number of reasons. And then engage in it, right? And
Yeah.
part of it could be fear, and part of it could be like the scapegoating aspect of it, and the release
Mhm.
of fear and anger for what's happening, taking it, kind of leaning into some of those things. And there's other societies who, like the Colosseum, right? It's a disgusting, gladiatorial things were gross and violent, and people loved that shit. And so like there's a part of me that's like, there could be a space where some people were like, this is just the reality that we live in, and I, it's like, if you can't beat them, join them, kind of a moment. And then
Mhm.
there could be the aspect of fear, but I do like that it doesn't seem like that's what it is, that she's coming to the conclusion that's like all of this has been kind of a falsehood to keep themselves alive, and now that it's actually coming down to something, there's a bit of solidarity with her, um
Yeah.
and that she
Because
doesn't feel
I think
so alone.
it's like I think maybe that those could be more true if like Amarantha was, like, scapegoating people more clearly,
Mhm.
but it's really, like, she is just has them under her thumb,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
like, people really don't like that, like,
Yeah.
and so that's I think maybe that because I was thinking as you were talking, I was kinda thinking, I was like, I think that's what makes me think of it is because, like, um, there's no, like yeah, they're not, like, watching they're kind of watching Feyre, but it's not I don't know. There's something about it that makes me think that they were but, y both options are always
Yeah,
possible.
there we don't see, like,
But
a full-on propaganda or smear campaign against
yeah,
humans, right? Like, I know that,
like, yeah, to buy into.
yeah, and, like, Feyre is kind of a stand-in for all of humankind for Amarantha, but it doesn't
Yeah,
seem to
but
be
not
that
like
there's been this huge ploy or, propaganda campaign to, like, villainize humans altogether,
mhm,
at least not in a way that is outside of just Amarantha has this bias because of this thing that happened to her specifically, as opposed to her putting, like, she's not like Versailles treating, right? She's not saying
yeah,
like all of their woes are because of humans, right? This
yeah,
is her own personal shit. Um,
yeah, so
and she's not Prithian, right? She's technically a foreign
yeah,
invader, right? And
yeah,
so I feel like it would be different if like one of the High Lords had like,
risen up and
if
created
this was a High
yes,
Lord who had done this, right? If this was Baron who had done this and they were fighting kind of one of their own, it would be
yeah,
slightly different, but
you
it's
have
like
more
these
nationalistic support from Oncourt, I think,
yeah, and then, like, but this is she's already not of this place and of these people, and so I think it's even more glaring that, like, oh, this must have been a front for them to stay alive and to be kind of like
mhm.
this, like, false loyalty the way that Rhysand is doing it. Um,
Yeah, she seems like a short-lived dictator, like
yeah.
someone who gains power really quick and then like is killed by a military coup or something, which is kind of, I guess, what sort of happens. But
Yeah.
because she also tricked them out of their powers. It wasn't
Yeah.
like flaws, like Hitler was like elected,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and it was fucked up, but like but she
Yeah.
really like it was like full trickery, which I think is another thing that makes people be like maybe they would have supported her in, like, an election style situation,
Yeah.
but now they're like, I can see it being very hard for anyone to
Yeah.
be pro Amarantha, the way
Yeah.
that people are pro Trump or something, but,
Well, and
um
she's a witch. Right?
yes,
She
exactly.
takes more power than what she was
Plus,
allowed.
Fair hella sexist, like, if nothing else, that would probably make them not actually support her, or a lot of
Right?
Fair, not all Fae, but,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, did you think there was anything interesting about being given the, old clothes? There's something about it that kinda tickled my brain, like, I was thinking back to, like this is kinda like, when Feyre gets to Spring Court, Alice washes her clothes, and she's like, "I wanna wear my clothes," and she's, like, demanding it, and then Alice is like, "Okay, you wanna wear these?" And they're, like, barely holding together. She's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I guess not," and she, like,
Yeah.
accepts the hospitality, and so this almost feels like maybe a reversal of something like that, of, like, Feyre didn't want her clothes and
Yeah.
she's being forced back into them in this weird kind of I don't know. Also kind of felt like if a warm cloak mentality is like the goal, this is like literally
Yeah.
as far opposite as
Well,
get stinky clothes when you're in a prison. Like I
yeah.
don't know. That's really
So then is
interesting.
she these are the clothes that she wore for the first task. So what did she wear for the second task? Were they the same clothes?
Oh, I thought they were what she was caught in. Maybe not. Maybe they are the first task. Given my old tunic and pants, stained and torn and reeking.
Yeah, because remember with the
Uh,
first one it was the worm, and so she covered herself in mud
Yeah.
and
Part of
and
me also
worm and
wonders,
worm
like,
poop.
if there's anything to that too, because it's kinda like she's, like, coming back to this last task coated in
Worm
the
shit?
residue of her well, of symbolically of her last victory. It's
Yeah.
kind of a weird, like, you could see that as maybe empowering or something, like,
Yeah.
you'd think she'd wanna I don't know. There's some level where maybe she goes here naked or something, or, like,
Or she
just,
wears
like
one of Reese's dresses.
yeah, maybe that's too
'Cause
yeah,
that's the only 'cause that she's been in those dresses the whole time, like, I feel like
yeah,
every time that she's just, like, hanging out, she's like, "Yep, and then I had to, like, take the tiny little pieces of fabric and cover up my lady bits when I got a visit from Rhysand," like, and she has
yeah.
a cloak in there because Lucian gives her a cloak. right?
Yeah. I don't know, I don't
But
think it mentions anything about what she's wearing at the second
not
castle.
really.
She just
Yeah.
wears something nondescript or something. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting. Maybe it is just there to serve maybe it is just there to serve as, a, like a like a return what is it called? A mirroring or like a full circle moment of
Yeah.
that, but I don't know if I can really pick something
Well,
super
and
interesting apart from it.
now I see, hold on here. So there's a moment in the next chapter that Amarantha says, "What are you but mud and bones and worm meat?"
Oh,
And
that's
so
interesting. I don't remember that
so
at all.
maybe that's right, because like she's won at that point, and Amarantha is pissed, and she says, "You're what? Like what? Do you think that you deserve us or deserve him? Right? So do you think that you're worthy of him, a high lord? Do you think you deserve anything at all, human? You are but mud and bones and worm meat." So maybe that was her way of like she put her back into the clothes of like
Being bait.
you're nothing but this
Mm,
you come from, yeah, and it's kind of like the insulting side of like we're ashes to ashes, dust to dust, or like we all like
mhm.
return to the earth kind of a thing. Like these are all like
Yeah,
kind of beautiful sentiments of dying.
like,
but
so yeah.
but there's the reverse of that. Like if someone lives an immortal life, then humans, you're just like, dude, you fucking come from dirt. You're just dirt. You're just
You're
gonna go
just
back to it. You're gonna be there in five
so,
fucking
like, in
minutes.
a
Like,
blink, yeah.
yeah, you're nothing but dirt and bones and food for larger predators.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's
Um,
that's interesting that she puts her in what she thinks of her
mhm.
to try
Yeah,
to put her
that
in her
I
place
like
almost.
that.
Mhm.
Definitely. That makes a lot of sense too. Also, I also, silence is a really big thing, part of this chapter, like constantly. And I will say the first mention is the doors were flung open and the silence of the room assaulted me.
Mhm.
Um, and okay, so I have more to talk about this later at a later line, but we always have tied Faye, or I will say also kind of fate moments with silence, and maybe like she's just to describe something and it doesn't mean anything, it's all that serious. But I will say that Faye are consistently linked with silence,
Mhm.
and and we know that she is not going to leave this room a human. She is like coming this she's going to become Faye, right? And
Yeah.
so there's something about this chapter that felt like it had a lot of moments of sort of accepting Faye-ness, which we're going to get to in a second too. Um in, like, weird ways, and I don't know,
Mhm.
this part was, like, sort of an interesting thing, and it's
Well,
also kinda
that
like the last time she's gonna be scared of Faye, or, like, a Faye-like thing, like,
mhm.
this is her last moments of terror in silence about silence or something, I
There's
don't know.
also when these series and this is in Throne of Glass as well, when the series talks about like fate moving or the cauldron moving or like the eddies of the cauldron or eddies of fate, there's this like it's not necessarily silence, but it's like sort of like the wind
Still
whispers, or there's
okay,
a
okay.
stillness, or there's a it's because Manon says that she can like hear fate, or that she can like feel
Mm,
like the pull of fate when she sees Abraxas. She's like, it's almost as if I can feel the pull of fate telling me to like choose this path or whatever. It happens a couple of
mm,
times. And so this like silent moment, that it's like maybe this is like the silence is not just of the people, but it's this like fate heavy, this cauldron heavy moment.
like, the
And
gods are looking at you kind of vibe.
at the end of this chapter is when she pronounces that she believes in fate.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
maybe this is right, if she has witch blood, Manon can literally hear and feel the pull of the
Mm,
silence, like the silencing of fate, because everything else gets kind of drowned out around her, and she's like, it's like this like kind of moment where she can like she's like, I can pull up the quote later, but it's like she can almost hear it or feel it or kind of see this like aura of it. And so maybe that's what this
mm,
is, and it's just kind of muffled for her because she's in a human form,
yeah.
or doesn't recognize it for what it is. And then, yeah, that like that sort of come to cauldron moment at the end here where she actually believes in fate
Yeah.
and puts some stock into it. So I like that. I tried to like we did this before we recorded. I was looking at because this gesture that happens
Mhm.
felt familiar to me. Yeah, I had to swallow hard as a few of them touched their fingers to their lips, then extended their hands to me. A gesture for the fallen, a farewell to an honored dead. And I feel like this happens somewhere in Throne of Glass, and I cannot remember. And I'm wondering if it happens like in a Gavriel moment, because it did not happen in the 13 chapter.
Mm,
But it feels, and again, I could just be like I said,
misremembering it.
misremembering it,
Well,
or
maybe anytime that somebody you could go look at all the moments where people are doing something, like, that is likely going to sacrifice them. I could see maybe, like, the people watching, because everyone watches Aelin at Aniel, right? They're just all watching her do that.
yeah,
So I could see it, like, in a moment like that,
or like
maybe the slave.
when
Mhm.
Bryce is doing her shit at the end of the first book and they're all watching it over the like
Yeah.
CCTV. I'm like, is there like a moment that like I can't, it
Ooh.
feels like I've read something like, and again, I could just be thinking of Hunger Games when they do the little fucking whatever.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
But I was like,
Hmm.
this feels like I've seen this before, but I could be wrong. Um,
Yeah.
so
It
I'll keep
is,
an eye out for
nice
it.
little moment. I also was wondering, okay, because that right there, actually, it says their world so she's talking about, like, the Fae that are not cheering now. "Their world rested on my shoulders," Rhys had said, "but I didn't think it was worry alone that was spread across their features. I had to swallow hard as one of them touched their fingers to their lips." This is the part you just read. "There was nothing malicious about the gesture. Most of the
Mhm.
fairies belonged to the courts of the High Lords and had belonged to those courts long before Amarantha seized their lands, their lives. And if Tamlin and Rhysand were playing games to keep us alive." And then it's like a fade, but, like, what is I don't really understand what she's saying there.
I
Like,
think
she's saying if they were doing that, then they have a lot of hope right now, or if that it
that
makes it sound
or
like if they're playing with their lives, this is bad. Like, I don't get it.
no, I think it's that kind of what we were talking about a second ago, where it's like everyone has been putting on a show to be loyal to Amarantha. The
Okay.
betting, the
So this is proof
cheering,
of that it's a
the
show.
yeah, that it was just,
Okay.
she's like, if Tamlin and Rhysand were playing games, then maybe everyone here was playing games and just doing what they
Okay.
need to do to stay alive. And in this moment where the stakes are actual, like, oh shit, she has made it to the final one. She's already won too. So like there is actual hope, and she's
Mhm.
getting these gestures of like goodwill, of like it's kind of like this moment of I mean it's unspoken, but it's visual, it's public, which is dangerous, but it's kind of
Mhm.
this like unspoken solidarity, but it's also a very, I mean, Amaranth is watching this, right? So
Yeah.
if she dies,
They're all a little fucked.
they're all super fucked. But I think that that's kind of where they're at too, is like, this is our last hope and we pretty much know this. So if you die, know that we are going to bid you farewell as someone who is worthy of that honor, and we're willing to go down with you. Um kind of a thing, or at least, we're
Mm.
here with you. And this is also a full circle moment. She says it a little bit more specifically later on, but when she's like, I wouldn't die alone, it's
Mhm.
what she offered the winged
Winged
fae, right?
fairy. Yeah.
The winged fairy who was torn apart by Amarantha. And so now she's kind of like, "Oh, I'm in that position." She has the ability to like, figuratively rip my wings from me and kill me, and these people are giving me the kindness and generosity that I had once given somebody else, because they recognize that I'm trying to do something here. I'm trying to stand up for them. And even if I fail, then I tried.
Mhm. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was just like, there's something about the phrasing there that seemed interesting, but, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But I think she's also starting to realize that like maybe
Amarantha's not so strong.
yeah, and, like, maybe, or, like, the extent to what her like, those who are loyal to her were never loyal to her. And there's also a really important moment later on as when she is revived, the order for which the High Lords come to her, I think is telling.
Mm, okay.
Because if we're
Yeah, I
already
don't
getting
remember.
glimpses at, right, if Tamlin and Rhysand are playing games, and now possibly everyone under the mountain was faking their loyalty, and then the first person to offer his life sparkle bulb, right, his first light, right, is what he's giving
Who
her.
was it?
Baron.
Oh, I would guess he's last, but actually Tamlin's last because it's like the final
Yeah.
kiss.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Baron is the first
Aaron is
one.
the
He's the
first?
first one. Not only is he the first one, but he's the one who comes forward. He comes
That's actually so crazy.
he comes forward and offers it first.
Okay, you know what this makes me think is that Lucian being fucked around by Amarantha is much more significant than we
Yeah.
realize.
But then there's this line here though too, where like, well, if Tamlin and Rhys are playing their games, who's to
Mhm.
say that Baron wasn't playing his games too? That all of them were playing their games to stay alive and keep their families alive.
Yeah, I don't know, I expect, like, that
Yeah,
makes
well,
complete
no,
sense,
and we
yeah.
talked about this. Like Baron's after.
Yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, Baron's after his own self.
But
So
it
of
is
course he's
weird that he comes forward first.
yeah.
Again, like, 'cause
He
he
comes up and stands next to Lucian and does it.
Mhm. There is something to Lucian that we are still gonna
Mhm.
find out.
Mhm.
Damn.
Yeah, because it
Um,
says, "Someone appeared beside Lucian, a tall, handsome, brown-haired man with a face similar to his own. Lucian didn't look at his father, though he stiffened as the High Lord of Autumn Court approached Tamlin and extended a clenched hand to him. Tamlin glanced up only when the High Lord offered his fingers and tipped over his hand. A glittering spark fell upon me. It flared and vanished as it touched my chest. He's the first one to do it. And he walks up and stands next to Lucian first, and then walks up to Tamlin.
there is so much about I cannot wait for the Lucian
And
book. And
also,
also, why does he look like Baron? He does not look like Baron.
right? Right? You know what though? Here's the thing though. He probably only looks like Baron because of the hair.
Yeah,
Like,
true.
at quick glance, like, the hair is bright, it's over I have a theory, right? Like, I'm not a theory, but, like, it's bright, it's overwhelming, it's the biggest feature other than the scar on his eye, right? Is
Mhm.
the biggest feature, and so I think that that's part of it, is that they're like, "Oh, yeah, he looks like him," and you're like, "Okay, but actually look at his face and his skin tone and things like that," and I think you have to just kind of, like, look past the, like, Ariel Little Mermaid moment of Lucian to
Mhm,
see
mhm.
past that, and that could be, like, I don't know, what saved him from Baron thinking that he wasn't his is that he has this bright red hair, but I guess so does his mom, but they're all Weasleys.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah. Imagine if in, like, the next book, if Lucian doesn't actually have red hair and it's been a glamour this whole time to protect he's a
Hey.
blonde,
Yeah, the mom's actually just quiet because she's literally spending her whole life trying to glamour Lucian in real time.
right? But
Um,
yeah, I did think it was weird that I was like, "He looks like him, why would he look like him?" But whatever.
we'll have to talk about that next week. That's crazy.
Mhm.
Um, okay. Uh, yeah, I do think it's interesting. Like, the dictator loves the show, and they're none of them are giving it to her right now. They are just like, who cares? And that's a very interesting aspect.
This is also,
Um,
like, it's a form of resistance, right?
Totally, absolutely,
And
yeah.
and so it's kind of one of those I guess it's like the moment where sometimes resistance is just quiet, is not cheering, is not clapping, is not engaging, is not,
Mhm. Just small
it's
crowd sizes.
yeah, yeah, and it's yeah, right? It's the and it's like the picture, right? Of I keep coming back to Nazi Germany. I'm sorry. I was listening to a podcast today about that, so it's on the brain.
Okay.
Um, but like the picture where everyone is doing like the sikhal and the one guy is not doing it, and it's like that's a form of resistance, just like not doing the salute.
Mhm.
Um, and this is kind of that. I mean, it's much larger, right? Everyone is silent. But this is their own small acts of defiance, their own small act of resistance and showing where their loyalties actually lie, where their hope actually lies.
Yeah. Yeah. I do wonder how unnerved Amarantha is, or if she's just like, I mean, I'm sure she's trying not to show that she's unnerved, but I feel like if I'm Amarantha, I'm like, I'll punish these bitches later.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and I think it's interesting she goes straight for Amarantha, doesn't look at Tamlin. I don't really know why, but I just noted that.
Mhm, mhm.
Did you know? I don't know. Maybe
It's part of
just a
my
thing
theory,
you
but
do.
we're not to
Okay.
the big stuff yet, but
Okay. Okay.
right, but yeah, she doesn't look at him yet, so
Yeah, the
fine.
looking, I always notice a looking, not looking, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So, okay, and then also Amarantha is all red and gold. Do we know red and gold? These are Lannister colors, I'm pretty sure, but like that doesn't have anything to do with the hair. But do we? Is there any
Those
other theming for red
yeah,
and gold?
those are Adderlin colors.
They are
Yeah,
red and gold.
yeah.
That's interesting.
Red and gold with a wyvern.
And oh yeah, and we already talked about her sigil is a sleeping
The
dragon.
sleeping dragon, yeah. Mhm, mhm.
Oh,
Yep,
hmm.
yep, yep, yep.
She's actually like, his bratty little brothers.
Yeah, she's Hollins or Hammond or
Yeah,
whatever the
whatever that
fuck his
guy's
name
name
is,
is.
yeah. Who we
That's funny.
never fucking hear about again.
I think she forgot about him.
Nah, he's gonna walk through a fucking gate, you watch.
ACOTAR 7 is Hollander's Revenge. What is his
Yes.
name?
I
Hollandaise.
think it's
He's my
Hollandaise.
boss.
I think it's Holland.
Yeah. That just sounds wrong to me,
Dorian's
but I'm sure you're
Brother.
right. But yeah, I was just noting red and gold.
Yeah, Holland. There's also mention of dragons in Throne of Glass. Did you know that?
It's not, like, shocking me, but
Yeah.
not quite.
I think it's allied. She
Okay.
when she's taken to Morith and she sees the witches and the wyverns, she's like, I've heard tales of the wyverns and dragons and blah blah blah, but I never thought I would see them. And then they keep saying, like, how do they exist? And Manon is like, I don't know, the king made them. And she was like, he made them. And she's like, yeah, I don't know, he makes them. Maid comes up a lot in Throne of Glass. It's fucking all over the place. It is
Yeah, well,
wild.
and if word magic is cauldron magic, then maybe, yeah, word maybe seems like it's a life source, and so maybe you can make a lot more things.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is interesting, and that makes me, maybe Ness is vowed. That's why she makes things.
Also the I don't think they're the I don't know if it's so the creatures that the creature that Selena fights in the little underground area where she jumps into the other portal and Kale sees her as Faye for the first time.
Oh yeah, what is that creature?
So I don't know what I don't think it's an Ilkin. That's not what they call it. They call it something else. Um but that used to be a human, right? And then when she's in Windlin and they find that cave, her and Rowan find the cave and Rowan like flies into it, they are using magical humans to create these creatures. And you can still see the like humans kind of like that used to be human in there or whatever. Those are also possibly created or at least fused or something on those altars that are also used to create whatever the amalgamation of witch and Valg are. Because
Hmm.
Allied talks about the rumors being that there's these altars underneath Morith where the creatures that used to be humans are. And they've just started and like now they're just talking about the breeding aspects. So I think that it's a different thing that is bred.
Well, that is.
Too many creatures
Maybe
without
I
names.
should reread Throne of Glass too. Jesus, we're only 4 books away from reading Throne of Glass.
Yeah, it's we'll get there and
We get there in 5
and
years.
yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll be fine. Um,
Um, I say
yeah.
if we ever make money, we should do 2 episodes a week and hire someone to edit.
Yes.
Crank them
Yes.
out. Hell
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. So this is the line that had me thinking that like all of it was kind of a falsehood, right? Their loyalties. So on the next page, 387, it says, perhaps like Rhys Sands, their oaths of allegiance and betting on my life and nastiness had been a show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what's making her tear up, the fact that they're standing with her in solidarity.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think
I will say that's our right before that is our first mention of Resand.
so.
Um,
Well,
Although it's interesting that mention is also like, okay, so Amarantha's like 2 trials behind you, one awaits. So wouldn't it suck if you failed when you're so close? And then it says, but only a few last hissed from the redskin guards. Everyone else remained silent, even Lucian's miserable brothers, even Rhysand, wherever he was in the crowd. And if she can't see Rhysand, how does she know I mean, I guess because
mhm.
no one's laughing, but there's something weird, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
The that line is interesting to me. Um, that she's like maybe she's like sensing him without seeing him, they're not realizing it. Or maybe she's just like, I don't hear any giggling from Rhysand.
Mhm.
Uh, but I don't know.
Um, so this is the beginning of my theory.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna
Those lines?
no, the one I'm gonna come to next. And I'm just gonna we're just gonna start it, and then I'll get to the theory when it actually kind of happens. But
Okay.
um, we have she finally looks at Tamlin, right? I came up with a plethora of curses, right? Do you want to say anything before you die? I came up with a plethora of curses, but instead I looked at Tamlin. He didn't react. His features were like stone. So we're getting the same stoic Tamlin.
Mhm.
I wish I could glimpse his face even for a moment, but all I needed to see was those green eyes, right? He's giving her nothing, right? He's not even really
Mhm.
looking at her. Um,
Well, yeah.
and then she says, "I love you," no matter what she says about it, no matter if it's only with my insignificant human heart. Even when they burn my body, I'll love you. And he didn't react. He didn't even grip the arms of his throne. I suppose if it was his way of enduring it, even if it made my chest cave in, even if his silence killed me. So again, he's not doing anything.
But he is the Attor.
Uh-huh.
I thought you were gonna say something about the fact that she's telling "I love you" to the Attor.
Well, that too. That's fun. But nope. That's nope. I just want to make a note that we know that this is not Tamlin right now.
Yes, definitely not. And actually, I had forgotten that when I read this the first time again tonight, which is the third time,
Mhm. So
fourth time.
when I
I kind of forgot that he was. I knew. I thought that she just switched him at the last second or something, but
yeah,
I
I
forgot that it's actually the Attor.
mhm. Because I remember reading this at the beginning, or like tonight when I read, and when it's like on the page previous when it's like Tamlin was in his usual place, I was already like, what? How's he there? He's going to end up being in this trial, and then
Mhm.
we have this like very stoic, not responsive Tamlin,
And I
and
was like,
then
maybe it's some kind of glamour trick, but I didn't. I completely forgot about the Attor.
yeah. So, but yeah, so we know that he's the Attor right now.
Yeah, or in 2 pages we'll find out.
hmm
But yes, um, spoiler alert.
I also thought it was interesting that she said, "You'll be lucky, my darling, if we even have enough left of you to burn." And I'm like, your task isn't laborious at all. What do you what I just thought
I just
like
thought she's just trying to scare her, and
yeah, but I'm like, you're just talking out of your ass,
Mhm.
Amy.
Well, and she probably just thinks like, "Oh, she won't do it, so I'll get to play with her, and I'm gonna rip her
hmm
apart." Um,
Yeah. But then right, then there's still silence again, right? There's no applause or jeers. It was a gift that gave me courage, that made me bunch my
mm,
fists, that made me embrace the tattoo on my arm.
yes.
I had beaten her until now, fairly or not, and I would not feel alone when I died. I would not die alone. And I'm like, yeah, because you have who you need to be here by your side in the tattoo on your arm.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I thought that was so interesting, like, the literally, like, well, okay, and also I sort of see this, chapter as obviously her crossing over into accepting Faye-ness, and so the accepting of the silence and that giving her courage is very, like, the silence is what usually scares her because it's, like, danger, and now it's the thing that gives her courage and makes her like bunch her fist, want to fight. And then I just thought it was so interesting that the silence, their courage, it makes me embrace the tattoo on my arm. I think we're supposed to just think that before she was sad that she had unfairly won the second trial and now she's accepting it. But I just thought that was a weird connection to make, like their silence or their fayness, because I'm sort of conflating those still. Makes her like run towards Rhys in a way,
Mhm.
and sort of like that's what when she's Fey, that's what she'll do. But also, there's also like Feyness with like the other thing that they're known for is like bargains and trickery and
Mhm.
like so she's kind of like I'm okay with that now.
Yeah.
I don't care that I've tricked her and I've done this. It's like almost like she's becoming more and more Fey is how I sort of was thinking about that.
That or I like that. I also like the idea of it being like there's a reluctance, and this is more with Nesta, that, like, as Nesta turns, she's really worried about using that human like, losing her humanity, losing her human part, and
Mm,
so, like, when Cassian says, "You're my mate," or whatever, she's like, "I can't be that because then that means, like, I have no humanity, I'm not human
yeah.
anymore, yada, 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 whatever," and I'm wondering if, like, this is kind of, like, a little bit of, less reluctance than Nesta, but, like, this reluctance to let Prithian leave a mark on her, for the reluctance for Faye to leave a mark on her, and this embracing of a physical, actual mark on her is like, I'm willing to accept that this land, that these people have left a mark on me, because hopefully I will leave a mark on them too.
Yeah.
That even
Yeah.
if I die, hopefully they can still rise above this nonsense.
Yeah, but it is weird.
It
Embrace
is
the tattoo on my arm. There's so many other ways she could have said that. I've just been like, could have made me thankful that Rhys and helped me.
yeah, that or she's like,
Yeah,
"I embraced it because I ain't gotta do it no more because 'cause I'm gonna
yeah.
die." Like, she's like, "I'm not feeling bad about this bargain anymore because 'cause I'm not gonna be here next week for him to call
I mean,
to."
she didn't mention fucking Tamlin. She didn't say made me hopeful that I could save Tamlin. Maybe like
Yep,
she is
yep,
thinking about Rhys
yep.
and
And not feeling alone and feeling
fighting.
solidarity and feeling like there's someone there who is going to hold her hand while she dies the way that she held that person's hand while he died,
Mhm. Yeah,
that Reese is literally, with this bargain on her hand, holding her hand and is with her while she's going to
yeah,
die. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I just was endlessly entertained by that line.
When Amarantha looks to Tamlin and says no final words to her, I did write like, "Who is this?" Because I forgot that it was the Attor. I was like, "Who is this Tamlin she's talking to?" Because it's we know that Tamlin is already in the thing, so I did write that, and we do find out in like the next page that it's the Attor. Um,
Also, I thought it was funny that she was like, "You never figured out my riddle." If she had said, "I'll tell you the answer, it's this," she could have stayed in power forever. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because then there's no guessing it because she tells her the answer, and then she could, you know
and
what I mean?
she does kind of tell her the answer.
It's so lovely.
It's so lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I just thought it was funny. I was like, you would think that she would rub it in her face right then and tell her the answer, but instead she's like, "I'll leave another loophole for."
hubris, hubris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sets of threes will always kind of make my brain
Hmm.
itch. Um, because three sacrifices. There's three brothers, three sisters. Are half of them gonna get sacrificed? I don't know. That's
The
like how I
three,
think.
well, like the three-faced god of the witches,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Well, and specifically, like, okay, also, okay, with the first book in particular, in the first book of any series, I am gonna expect things to come back in final books. So
Mhm.
I would not be surprised if we had mirroring from this scene in the final chapters of the series.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, is there gonna be three
Mm,
sacrifices in the end?
yeah,
And which of those six main characters are they gonna be? I mean, I
yeah,
hope it's none of them, but like, I
no.
kind of am like, we got a lot of sets of threes. Yes, the three-faced goddess and stuff, but and maybe it's nothing. Maybe it won't be like that. But that is like it makes sense for writers to do that kind of thing, like bringing
Well, and
things full
it
circle.
could be even bigger than that because we have 3 different series with 3 different heroines.
Yeah, true. And I do think whenever the last of all the books comes out, it will like bring everything together.
Mhm,
Um that is why I like our gate theory because it does really a
mhm,
good job of uniting all of them.
yeah,
Um oh, I was wrong. I thought there was no mention of Reese yet, but actually there was.
mhm.
Do you have anything about this next section?
I I put brackets around it, but I didn't have any, like, marginal notes, but
Yeah, it's just like, it's like it's funny, the most pivotal moments, like the actual task happening, we're kind of like,
yeah,
okay, this
yeah.
this happened.
I
Um,
don't have anything until a little bit onto 389.
yeah. I wrote at the top, Faye trolley problem.
Faye what?
Trolley problem. That's what she's facing right now is the
Oh, yes,
classic,
yes,
like,
yes, yes,
you
yes.
know.
She is, yeah. Do I die and save yeah, yeah, one person. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
So I did find it interesting that she's
oh,
given
yes.
right, the paragraph that says I couldn't, right? So she's been given this task. She says I couldn't do it. It wasn't like hunting. It wasn't for survival or defense. It was cold-blooded murder, the murder of them, of my very soul. But for Prithian, for Tamlin, for all of them here, for Alice and her boys, I wish I knew the names of one of our forgotten gods so that I could beg them to intercede. Wish I knew any prayers that at all to plead for guidance for absolution. She doesn't include her sisters or the human realm in any of that.
At
And
all.
I'm like, she's only
Definitely no
thinking,
parents.
yeah, but I'm like, she's only thinking of Prithian, and it's like showing that she's kind of always been meant for this land.
Hmm. Yeah. It's kind of like she's taking her dad's advice, leave
Yeah.
and don't ever come back.
Find a better world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I also thought it was interesting that, first of all, more name thing. And, I've wondered because we've known for a long time that the humans have forgotten their gods, or they've rejected gods because the gods were fey gods. And now I'm wondering, like, if she did know their name, like, with names being such a thing, imagine if she did invoke them and someone answered.
Well, that
Or
or
like,
then I start to think like the gods of their world were the Asteri.
is that is that true?
That's part of the Thea stuff, right? That the people, the Daglin, right? The Daglin came into their
Those are
world.
the only gods?
I don't think I don't know if they're the only gods,
Okay.
but there are the Daglin,
Yeah.
and there were 13 of them, I do believe.
Oh.
And then but in Crescent City there's only 12 because one of them has already died or some shit.
Oh, there's
And
6. So and not that it's important.
no, 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 but because I feel like I've looked this up before and the numbers kind of
6 living Asteria, originally 7 in Crescent City.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
How many Daglin? Okay. Court of Thrones and Rose's wiki says the Daglin were near gods and monsters that ruled for millennia, enslaving
Mhm.
fairies and humans. Created the Wild Hunt.
Mhm.
I did not realize that they created the Wild Hunt.
We don't talk about the Wild Hunt ever again though, do we?
Lanthus is part of the Wild Hunt. I think there's something like that. How many of them are there? I don't think it says a number.
Well, there's 12 gods of Erlea,
Okay.
and I don't know, there was just something that I feel like I was like kind of trying to put stuff together, and I don't know, maybe it wasn't working out. But yeah,
Okay.
I thought that the Daglin were considered gods to their worlds. That was like
Oh, I never thought that.
because when the Asteri, when they're doing their fucking exposition, the bad guys are gonna lose thing, he was like, we went to the worlds and we were gods there.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm wondering if that's part of this forgotten gods, is that because the Fae don't really pray to them either.
Well, they pray to the cauldron, the mother. Uh, and so yeah, those also don't have names. Those aren't names. Those are
Nope.
titles.
And
Um,
and
hmm. I would hate if the gods are for Isiri or Daglin. Just kind of
is
just
there a Diana connection in ACOTAR? No, right? No.
no. There's the one thing you always think of.
I always think it's Nesta, but it's Selena. So
Yeah. Yeah, there's no gods in ACOTAR, maybe because Aelin already banished them all. But I don't know. It seems like
the
humans had gods 500 years ago, and then when the war happened is when they deleted them. And so it seems like it's more recent than that, than the Dagon, which seemed like they're thousands. I don't know how long ago, a long
5,000.
time ago, 5,000 years ago. So
Yeah.
I feel like also humans do not. I mean, maybe they're different than us humans, but like I feel like 5,000 years is a really long time for humans to remember things.
I
Um,
mean
I mean, we have some things,
I
but
mean
I don't know. I feel like it's 500 years ago that they
I
forgot the
mean,
gods.
Judaism is 4,000 years old.
Yeah, but even that's like one of the oldest, and it's like 4,000. It's
Yeah,
not even
yeah.
5,000. Um, and but I guess if they rolled from anyway, I hope not. I still think that gods could come back into play, but I was like, well, okay, I had two thoughts. Well, one is stupid. One was like, what if one of them had been like, yeah, what's up? Uh,
Right?
that
If
would
all
be
of a sudden
crazy.
Mala was there and it was just fucking fire was everywhere and she's just like, "What the fuck is
Ooh,
this?" Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then also
Or
I
if
was
it
like,
is
what
one
if
of or if it is the Asteri and the little, like, teenage boy fucking evilest one is just like, "Did I hear my name called?"
oh my god. And then my other thought was, and what if Reese is just like, who's calling me?
Or the
I
bone
don't think Reese
carver's
is a
like, "Let me
god.
out!" The bone carver's like,
Yeah.
"Let me out, let me out!" The weaver's all
Yeah.
like with her
Who?
blind ass being
They're
like,
calling me? I
"Yeah,
forgot.
right?"
Honestly, the Weaver and the Bone Carver could both be gods because they also don't have names. Those are not names, those are titles.
They are gods, they're death gods.
They're death gods, but are they like gods of this world type shit?
Oh, they're not of this world.
Exactly. So I'm like, they
Yeah,
can't be the forgotten gods. But part of me is like, maybe I don't know. Now
yeah,
I'm
I
all
don't know.
interested in that, and I really hope they're not. It would kind of annoy me if the Daglin were the forgotten gods because I feel like there's so much cool potential for better stuff than stupid
Mhm.
ass Daglin. I'm so sick of these theory.
Yeah,
Or I
but the
just hope
thing
they're
is
not
that
that big
in
of a
yeah, but
role. But
in Throne of Glass, like, there are gods,
yeah,
and
exactly.
they get banished to the void.
And you think that we're on the same continent, which means they would be the same gods.
Well, and even if
So
it's okay, but if it's not on the same if it's not in the same world, then
and there's
perhaps
other
those
gods.
what or the Daglin are the forgotten gods of this world. They infiltrate into Throne of Glass and are banished when Aelin does her little fucking free fall and closes them off, right?
Mm,
Because they're pissed when they are cut off, and then
yes. They
and
do
then
kind of act like a Siri, actually.
and then they go into Crescent City and they end up being the Asteri.
Okay, but the only thing is that Deanna and what is his name? The I always want to call him Hades, whatever. The Lorcan's god, whatever, death
Yeah,
guy. But
yeah.
the only thing is that a
Hela?
series
You mean Hela?
is
He's
that what
a
his name is?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Hela
We've talked about
himself,
him.
yeah, because but that's the thing. So then is he a death god? Is he one of the gods, or is he just one of the princes of hell?
You mean in a series?
No, is the god that blessed Lorcan just one of the princes of hell? His name is Hela.
Yeah, we have talked about. Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Then that brings me the question: Is Adis a forgotten god? Uh, you know.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, but the only thing is that Hela and Deanna, they do imbue, they give people powers, and that seems very
Mhm.
non-Asteri. Like Asteri seem very parasitic, very like
Yeah.
we don't give power here. But maybe do they give
Well,
power? I don't think
same
so.
with Mara and Mala. They give power too, right? Mala
Yeah, like
gave
are we saying Mala is an Asteri? That seems fucked up to me.
yeah, that does seem fucked up.
Although it would set a precedent for a being which should be evil being good, which is
That
good support for my Reese theory about him
yeah,
being
or it
Valg,
could just be that the Valg and of the Valg, the Asteri, the Daglin in and of themselves are not inherently evil, that they
which
make
I
choices.
also like because I don't like
Mhm.
thinking, oh, we do whole races are evil. Um,
Yeah, because they
but
come from a world of darkness, so they're evil. I'm like, that seems a little too
which I get, it's a fantasy, but I still don't like
I don't love
black and
it.
white. Yeah. Um, so I don't know. I just kind of went wild with this because I yeah, I still it's not that Reese seems like a god to me, but he does seem like something. And this name thing, I don't know. But I was really interested in
Yeah,
that,
because
especially since
the gods are also nameless.
yeah,
Nameless was their
yeah,
price, apparently.
yes.
Yeah.
And names are just such a big thing in this series and in this book that I'm like, there's got to be something here. Like I don't know, and especially in her like ultimate moment of like terror, she is turning back to these gods
Mhm.
that she wished she had. It's like something in her body knows that they could help her. Like,
Mhm.
it's like a weird instinct, like, epigenetic instinct of like, I'm
Well
supposed to do
well,
something here.
not only that, but it's also something that's calling her to pray to gods that the Fae pray to.
Yes.
They were gods that were given to the humans by the interactions with the Fae.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Anyway, not to go on a forever long rant. Okay. My next note was oh, okay. I don't know if there's anything to this, but there was something weird about her saying, "I could do this even with Tamlin watching. I can make this sacrifice." And it does
Where's
make me
that
want to
at?
think harder about sacrifice. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Did you think
Where
anything about that line or the
Oh, got
sacrifice?
it. I didn't have any notes for that, but it is interesting that I mean, maybe it goes back to like the fact that her and Talon are very reluctant to be vulnerable with in front of each other. And like, yeah, it's not even a thought that she could do it in front of Rhys, but like, she's like, I could make this sacrifice. I can be
Hmm.
this worst possible person, this worst case scenario. I could do this horrible thing, even in front of Tamlin, even in front of this person that I have a hard time opening up to,
I like that.
who I really want to like me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
I don't have anything until the next page, like I said, down at the bottom. So if you have anything on 390, that's before the very last paragraph.
No, the next thing I has the well, I kind of was noting I have underlines of like the color of the sky and the guy's eyes.
Yeah,
He does say please 3 times, which I track those, but he technically it's only the sisters where
applies
it
to.
works. So
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting, but no, that's probably actually like a nothing theory. I'm just gonna be psycho and I'm gonna track it. And that scene is very sad. But yeah, the next thing, is she's thinking this is right as she's thinking about it and trying to do it. Darkness rippled near the throne, and then Rhysand was there, arms crossed as if he'd moved to better see. His face was a mask of disinterest, but my hand tingled. Do it, the tingling said. Is that the line you were
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
That he's like
Yes.
that they're like actively speaking down the bond and yeah.
Yeah, and this time he is the darkness,
Mhm. Yeah,
and
yeah, we're not making it up. Mhm.
and he also is telling her to do the killing, just like her dream, about Andress where she doesn't wanna do it, and he's gonna make her do it in the
Yep.
dream. He kinda does that here.
Yeah.
Um, and he's, like, taking up the Tamlin cause. His face was a mask of disinterest,
Mhm.
which I thought, it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, what were you thinking about that line?
I made a note that it was like already this like the communication down the bond and
Yes.
also that like she needs someone to tell her that this is necessary.
Yeah.
That you're doing this for a better cause and not just doing it because it's going to bring joy to Amarantha. You're not doing an act of evil to serve evil, you're doing an act of evil to serve peace.
Yeah.
And so like she needs a little bit of encouragement to be like do it. Like at least one person here is going to understand and is going to support this choice. You need to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like, she kind of needs someone to hold her hand in this moment to be like, this is going to wreck you. But I would make the same choice. I would do this too.
Yeah. Ugh, it's very interesting to see Reese in that context. Um, and yeah, Reese is the one who gives her the courage. It's a tell right from the get go. Yeah, the next line that I had was about the eyes. What do you think about them bronze eyes? Is that just brown or is
For the
that
girl.
mhm.
Hmm. I made notes. Like I made it like more of like mental notes of
Because it
like
seemed like is bronze gold? Am I crazy? Or is that just brown?
her hair was gold brown like mine, it says.
Her eyes are bronze.
Yeah, and her eyes are bronze. You know what this reminds me of?
Mm,
When sorry, I'm just having now I'm thinking of things, and I don't think it's connected, but it's
mm,
reminding me of when the grandmother forces Manon
the
to kill her
Crochan
sis
witch?
the Crochan witch, who ends
Yeah.
up being her sister, right?
Can you imagine if this was actually her sister?
Okay, because she says her face was simple, her hair was gold brown like mine.
Mine. Oh!
Yeah. Like, what if we
Wait, I
find
was thinking
out
about that line, like, yeah, like,
that we find
that
out
was
that
the actual child that her mom had with Tamlin?
mhm,
You
or
maybe
that
that's why Tamlin's so fucked up in the next book, because she killed his daughter.
yeah, and then he killed his mate. It's rough. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it does. Like now that you're like having me like look at it again, it reminds me of the Crochan Witch.
Yeah, well, the bronze eyes, I was like, "That sounds like gold eyes," and I think,
Yeah, that's where I went. I was
that's
like,
why, yeah.
yeah, I went there too. I was like, well,
But
that reminds me of
yeah.
witch eyes. Yeah,
The hair thing also, like, kinda, tickled my brain, but I was like, I couldn't figure out how to draw a connection. I think that's really crazy to think that's
well,
her
and
sister, but
I don't
there is something about it that's
there
interesting.
there is it's at least a writing similarity. It's a parallel
Yeah,
in the writing and in the ways in which she comes up with stories and like,
yeah.
it's I guess it's not a trope, but it's a there's a reoccurrence.
You're
There's a
scared to
similarity.
kill the person who's very much like
I
you or
also
could be
find
you.
it and I also find it interesting that the Crokin who is killed is also not afraid, and this
Yeah,
girl's
and
not
wants
afraid.
her, knows that she has to, and is like, "Let's go." Because this girl is, like, very much brave.
Yeah, so the Crokin witch is not afraid, right? She tells Manon like you are not evil. You weren't born this way. You were made. She made you. Made. Like that's what the Crokin
Oh.
witch is telling Manon during that last bit. She has
She's
this.
trying to, like, hint to her, but is she also not afraid, or is she just like, "Well, I'm gonna die, so let me at least try to give
She's
as
at
much of the game
least
away as possible."
she's at that, but she's at least not showing fear, right? I'm sure she is afraid,
Yes.
but she's not showing fear. She's staring at her, she's talking to her, she's telling her that she's made all the things. The first person to die in this book in this task is this younger male, and he's very scared and he begs for his life. This girl does not beg for her life. Right?
Mm-mm.
She's very much like the Crokin. She just looks at her and she gives her, right? She's just like, do it, make it fast, make it painless. Like, do what you got to do. I'm going to accept my fate. So I find that
Mhm.
also an interesting parallel that we also have these like two very strong female deaths that are not afraid, or at least don't show to be afraid.
That help witches fully realize themselves.
Yeah.
Um,
I also find there's some biblical references here in this prayer.
yeah, we have talked about the prayer before.
Yeah.
Let's see, where's just saying it? Although before that, I think I was just noting the line, the bottom of 391. I wanted to fall to my knees to beg her forgiveness, to tell her that her death wouldn't be for naught. Wanted to, but there was such a rift running through me now that I could hardly feel my hands, my shredded heart, what I'd done. And right, that's right when the prayer interrupts. But there's something about that that made me, because I think I knew that you had sort of theorized that this could be an ordeal, and I was like, I wonder if that's like
Mhm.
one of the moments of the ordeal is this shredding and this severing of
Yeah.
like a human tie. And also I can't help but notice, like, horcruxes
Yeah.
are made, like, are shredding of the soul and are like
Yeah.
described very similarly, and also done through death. And not that I think there's a horcrux here, but obviously because it's literally not the same world, but, like, there's something that's like interesting
Yeah.
about it. But and then the rift thing, also rift is one of those words that, because, like,
Mhm.
after reading Crescent City, I'm like, rift, a rift, like,
Yeah, rift,
I don't know.
ravine, yeah,
Rift,
mhm,
and like rift is like used kind of like gate in
yeah.
Crescent City. So I don't know, and I'm just like, I just had a lot of thoughts. But anyway, we can talk about the prayer. Yeah, because
Yeah, so the "Let me pass through the gates,
oh,
let
the
me
milk and
smell
honey for sure.
let me smell the immortal land of milk and honey." Okay, but here's my couple things. So, yes, it's a biblical reference, or
Yeah, and
it's
it's
not a
very
biblical reference, but
vibes
yeah,
too.
But let me pass through the gates. Let me smell the immortal lands of milk and honey. And then she says, I knew I would forever be barred from that
Yes.
immortal land,
Yes.
like in Crescent City.
Wait. Oh, yeah, Bryce trades her, although that was a scam land, but yes, Bryce does
But
trade her
is it? Is
immortality.
it a scam land or is that not? Did they not just put a gate up? Right? If because we talked about in Throne of Glass saying that like Nehemia, she was in another realm,
Yes.
right?
That's where I think this
That
is.
the afterlife is another realm. So what if the Asteri find the place where the afterlife is, find that realm, create a a gate there in Crescent City that goes to the realm so that when people go into that realm they also have control of what is the natural afterlife, and that's how they continue with the first light last light bullshit. Because if it is a realm, if it is a world, then they can manipulate it just as much as they could any other world. And here we're
Hmm.
saying, let me go through that gate to the immortal land. And she goes, I know that I would be barred from that immortal land. Just like
Mhm.
in Crescent City being barred from when people are their bodies, their souls are weighed in the water and they either sink or they keep on going or whatever, right? And so I'm like, what if the afterlife is another realm?
Yeah.
And if the
Uh,
Asteri are already world walkers, then what's stopping them from walking into the world of the afterlife and thus creating a word gate that can connect Crescent City to the afterworld realm so that they
mhm.
can then continue to prey upon the powers of those after death?
Yeah. And okay, sorry, I thought you were talking about the bone quarter and that's the scam part, but yeah, maybe they are because it's like the thing is that they're sapping the Fae of their ability to go to the afterlife, I think, is what like they're like deleting them, whereas they should be able to live in the bone quarter or something in Crescent City, and that's what's fucked up. Maybe they can still get into the like the actual afterlife, because people in that afterlife are not allowed to I don't know. I don't remember
Is
enough of
isn't
Crescent
aren't they
City.
like set on the water? And if their body continues to pass on, isn't that them passing into the afterlife?
Mm,
Because you
yes, but
want
then
to
but then
go
they're in the
there.
bone quarter. They're in the bone quarter when they do that. Like that's why Danica was originally in the bone quarter. And you're not
Yes,
supposed to
but
be like
what if the bone quarter is just the
it's just
afterlife?
the but then I'm like, okay, so is Gavin there? Is Naomi there? Like I'm like, are they all just in the bone quarter of Crescent City?
Yes,
To me, I
yes.
feel like that's just some shit the Assyria like maybe it's a dungeon in the Immortal Land that they're keeping people in from Crescent City or something like. I like the idea that they've linked found a way to like link into that place of the world because I think we're okay.
Or it's a level of hell that been able
Exactly. Yeah.
to capture. It's not the full afterlife, that not everybody goes there, but they've been able to capture this one because everyone who dies passes over that way in Crescent City, right? Like you have to be dead to get there.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Because, like, I mean, if we think about the influences, the mythological influences that Sarah J. Maas uses, right? The afterlife could just be Hades, could be the underworld, right? It is another realm, it's another
Hmm.
world. And in
Yeah.
those
Well,
mythologies, people can travel there and manipulate those planes.
mhm. Yeah. Well, and like we know that we can. I think we think that because it would make sense that the end game is going to be some kind of world walking thing,
Mhm,
where people are going to main characters are going to cross in other worlds. At least that's what it would seem to point to. And okay, with our theory, I kind of think that sorry, our theory being about the gate thing, right? So because Rhys and Feyre, the big problem is that they've stupidly signed their attached their life to each other, and they're like, if you
mhm,
die, I die, and I'm like you know, I mean, I feel like we must have talked about this before, but I feel like that's maybe just they both go into the afterlife together. And I can see the penultimate book ends with them dying
mhm.
and going into the afterlife and then fucking some shit up, especially since I already think Reese has some kind of fuckery powers that could
Yeah.
do things in there. Well, I kind of lost some of my thoughts, but anyway, oh, I was also thinking, okay, is Reese's bargain to Feyre kind of like Persephone? Remind me, Persephone is like what is it like half? That's like the seasons thing. She's supposed to be the half the year,
Yes.
which is originally what he asked for, actually, right? Because he asked for half of every month.
Yeah.
So if we think of Feyre and Reese as Persephone and Hades, Am I getting this right? I'm not a
Yeah, yeah.
that's she goes with hate Rhys.
Mhm.
Okay, sorry, I really don't know mythology.
So
But
yeah,
that would
so the
be
story with Hades and Persephone, it actually overlaps well with Rhys and Feyre because yes, there's the half of the year, right? If it's every 2 weeks, then it would be half the year.
and she bargains it down.
It ends up being a quarter of the year.
Yeah.
But not only that, Hades kidnaps Persephone in a meadow.
Hmm.
She's
In
picking
a meadow.
flowers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so Rhys captures Feyre from the spring court, and then she spends a quarter of the year with him.
Until
And then
she fully goes,
yeah,
but
yeah,
yes.
yeah. So there is some there. Yeah, I mean there could definitely be
Well,
some
and
parallel things.
it's that's supposed to be why the seasons change, right? Is
Yes,
because of that,
yes.
and it's weird that it's spring court.
Yeah, well, so yes, Demeter is Persephone's mom, and she is the goddess of harvest and life, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like
Seems like
natural
a
earth
spring
life,
court high lady. I'm just kidding. Uh,
right? Right.
but, like, I
And
mean, with the implications of Tam Lin being like the story is
yeah,
that they fall in love and they have a kid and all this stuff, and that doesn't happen with Feyre, but did they just maybe she just used the name Tam Lin, but, like,
but isn't
you know, it
isn't
does. Already have theories about the mom giving a sacrifice and doing all this shit, and then we have her being kind of a Persephone character and the spring court. Because I've always been like, why are we doing spring? What is with this choice of using spring? And it's always irked me. But if it's actually that Pharaoh's meant to be a Persephone, and that's why it's spring, so that it can like because it'll line up that way. That is more fun. And also then so what else does Hades do or what else? Yeah.
Hades is the
Oh.
god of the underworld
But like
and of
I don't know if
jewels.
okay. But like is there any other parallels? I really
He has
don't
a
that's all
three.
that I
He
know
has
of the
he
stories.
has a three-headed dog, like a Daglin dog. No, I'm just kidding. But
I was like Cassian, Azrael,
uh
and his dick.
I don't think I mean, we could say that there's parallels. I
Hmm.
don't think it's supposed
But
to
maybe
be
I'm just
like a
off on one. I just something you said got me really
I'm stuck right now because I keep thinking of their second bargain and I'm wanting to look up the actual wording of their bargain because I don't think it says like I'm wondering if the way that it's worded is that like whatever realm you go to, I go to, as opposed to like when you die, I die. Because I think that that was
yeah,
part of
I don't think it's a die thing.
No, it's not die. And so I think that that was part of our theory was that it's not a death bargain that they have, but a world walking bargain that they have.
Oh,
But I
yeah,
can't
yeah, yeah,
find,
yeah. We have talked about this
but
before.
I, yeah, but I can't find the exact quote and I'm not going to go through my Kindle right now.
But yeah,
I mean, I
I
do
can
have the
just
book
see like
behind
the
me, but
ending because you know, if they're both gates, then they find their way home at the end. But they start. I could see the last book ending with them both dying, going to the underworld, kind of doing like you know, like an Ace Armies thing, you know, type of deal.
yeah. Yeah.
And
Or
because
being like
also I
king
feel
and
like there's
queen,
so many
being kings and they could end up being king and queen of the underworld.
could, but I don't know. There's something about I feel like the only well, there's besides Vaughn and Dorian's little brother and mom. Okay, besides those, the only untied strings in Throne of Glass are really that land that Nehemia says and Coltane are like, we're not supposed to tell you anything, we're not supposed to talk, we're not supposed to summon us. And they talk about being like this, maybe like slight, but like oppression. They're like, they won't let us. So there's some kind of
Yeah.
beings that are keep maybe it's just like, okay, the guardians of the
Yeah.
dead shouldn't talk to the living. Maybe that's all it is. But it kind of
Yeah.
seemed
But it
interesting.
seems more.
It
Yeah.
seems more, and I'm like, so I really think that
Also,
that's where it was gonna go.
Gavin is a huge loose end, by the way, of Throne of Glass.
Yes. Yeah, right? And yeah, so I'm
Like,
just
could you
like, I can
imagine if, like, if in the next book, like, someone walks through a gate and they're like, he has blue and turquoise eyes, and we're expecting it to be Adian, and he's like, my name's Gavin Ash River, and we're like, "Mwah." um,
yeah. Yeah, yeah, dude. I'm just ugh. There's too much interesting sorry for taking so long to talk about the person. I was kind of thinking that in real time. I forgot what you said that made me think of that. But, I kinda love that theory now because everyone thinks it's the Beauty and the Beast story, but sort of
Yeah,
disguising, you know?
yeah.
It's kind of
Well, I think the
and it
Tamlin,
ties in with the mom so well
it does. I think,
because the
like, the
mom's a huge part
Tamlin
of that story.
yeah, I think the Tamlin and Feyre thing could be a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but that the real story is more of this Persephone, Hades, Demeter thing.
Yeah, yes, especially because of the mom. The mom
Although
is really interesting.
although if we're gonna be looking at, like, the archetypes for of, like, who Feyre and the sisters are, Elaine is much more of a Persephone
Right.
because she's the goddess of, like, of harvest. Or she's not the goddess of harvest, but she fucking blooms flowers and shit. Persephone does.
Well, maybe Lucian's
Where
open to
Feyre
that.
would actually be much more like Artemis because she's the goddess of the hunt.
Mm. But maybe Elaine will have a Persephone story and Lucian's some fucking hell demon thing.
Maybe.
Or maybe Azrael is, although I don't love them. Anyway,
I do not like them together.
I don't like them. Yes, the bard from the Immortal Land. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
I also thought like that's an interesting thing of like why do you know that? There's something weird. I mean, I guess it's just like shame. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
And then she held my gaze is also
Mhm. I've
interesting.
underlined that too.
Yeah.
Um, I only have one thing highlighted on the next page, and that
Which page?
is 393.
Okay.
And that is Tamlin beside her transformed into the Attor, smiling wickedly at me. Okay, I'm gonna jump for a second.
Okay.
So Tamlin at the beginning is the Attor, devoid, doesn't speak, no claws, no looking. He transforms, and then on 396, when we finally see Tamlin like again,
Oh, his bold gaze thing.
hold on here. Yeah, because she's looking at Tamlin, she's remembering all these things, right?
Hmm.
We'll come back to those in a second. When she looks at Tamlin again, she goes, but there was a faint smile on Tamlin's lips as I stood over him, ash dagger in hand. That's on 396. So, beginning of chapter, Tamlin is the Attor, devoid of all emotion. Then we see him transform back into the Attor. And when we actually make eye contact with Tamlin again, we have emotion. We have a smirk. We have a smile.
Uh-huh.
What if the entire time
Okay, yes.
that Tamlin was not showing any emotion, was sitting on that throne next to Amarantha, was not looking, not responding to Feyre? What if that was the Attor the entire time?
He's
And
actually just
Tamlin
been in a
has
prison cell.
and he's been locked up somewhere.
He's been the one screaming the whole time.
This leaves a perfect opening for a Tamlin POV redemption arc.
Redemption, sorry. Yeah, I will say he's gonna be so mad that we trash talked him so hard all those
Because
episodes.
we've been like, what is he doing? Where's he at? What's been going on? We don't know anything. What's happening? Blah blah blah. I want his point of view. I want his point of view. What if his point of view is I was in that dungeon for months, Feyre.
I
I
heard
was
that music with you.
I was screaming for you for months.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I didn't beat Lucian, the Attor beat Lucian. I didn't ignore you, the Attor ignored you.
I think Lucian would know though, maybe. Or
I don't
maybe
know.
I don't know. Yeah. Because we do see slight emotion from Tamlin at times. And does that mean she made out with the Ator?
No, I think that
Yeah.
I mean, so then okay, so then maybe there's a back and forth moment. Maybe there's some back and forth moments. Maybe there's like
Yeah.
maybe if we get his point of view, he's going to be like I don't remember like I wasn't there for that. I was in the dungeon. Like I remember this thing like when maybe there's like a way that we go back like she goes back through this book and she
Uh-huh.
goes, "Oh, these are the moments that Tamlin had some response." Or she just says like, "Oh, well the Attor's a good actor. I was locked away the whole time." Until the very end.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, then she made out with the Attor.
Oh my god. Although, okay, I will say, Amaranth is trying to fuck, so
Yeah.
this is probably not very conducive to doing that. but
Yeah.
maybe she's just I don't know.
But I'm just saying
That
there's a
is
little
hilarious though, because
there's
I
some
yeah, my
wiggle
mind did some of that.
there's some wiggle room. There's some wiggle room
There
for
is.
him to, or there's at least plausible deniability. He could at least be like, "Nope, that wasn't me. You saw the Attor transform into me or me transform. Like
Yeah.
you saw that."
Yeah, although it doesn't I think it already sticks out in this chapter that it's clearly something's wrong because of how
Mhm.
still it is, you know?
When his claws aren't out, he's
Yeah,
not white
so
knuckled. He's
but
completely,
I love that idea of like just so unhinged.
yeah. I don't know. I'm just like I'm not necessarily here for it or not here for it. I just think that there's a space where if we can do a like if we can have a chapter 54 where there's a Rhys POV that is sympathetic and gives us some insight and gives
Mhm.
us a moment of being like, oh shit, that's what happened or whatever, that there is a Tamlin side of this story somewhere, and there's enough wiggle room in this moment, in this glamour, for there to be stuff for her to play with, is all
Yeah.
I'm saying. And
Oh, actually,
it could lead into a redemption arc. Who knows?
yeah. I do also think actually maybe Reese would probably catch on if the actor was always look glamour to look like Tamlin, but maybe not.
Yes, but even if he did, would he have ever said it?
No, yeah, yeah. Who knows? That's fun though. And then another moment of our if this is the ordeal, as on mid bottom third of 392, as I lifted the ash dagger, something inside me fractured so completely that there would be no hope of ever repairing it. That reminded me of the line at the end of the next chapter where something forever cracked in my spine or something like that.
Yeah.
That very much felt like that, but also that's kind of like ordeal type language, and it's
Yeah.
also happening as she's holding this person's gaze.
Yeah.
In a way, it's almost like maybe this person is tethering her.
Yeah.
Could also, it's kind of interesting. Uh,
I do think that this is her ordeal. I do think that this is the
yeah,
ordeal and that what we're going to see in
but
the next
that's
few
like one of the
chapters
moments.
is the
Yeah,
drop. I think, yeah. The next page 394. So she says, right, so she sees Tamlin's face and Amarantha's being a bitch and she's like, something wrong? And she's like, it's not fair. She goes, fair? She goes, unless you think it would be more appropriate to forfeit your life. After all, what's the point? To survive only to lose him. Imagine all those years you were going to spend together, suddenly alone. And I underlined that because I was like, could you imagine if this is his mate? This would be like, imagine all those years that I was going to spend with Tamlin and now I'm alone. Imagine that. Like, kind of those like
yep.
she knows like it's hitting her too. Like this anger, this resentment that she has is
Hmm.
like she's kind of throwing it back in Favor's face.
And it's
Um
also like the playing with Durian's bone is reminds me of like Reese picking the lint off his thing. It's like she
mhm.
doesn't want to look at her. She's feeling vulnerable. Is what it kind of
Amarantha does that a
gives.
lot too, by the way. Amarantha picks lint off of her dress a lot.
She does? I
Yeah,
did
she
not notice
does.
that.
Yeah. I think she does it in the next chapter. I don't know, she does it somewhere um in what I read today. Um Though a few months ago you hated our kind enough to butcher us, surely you'll move on easily enough. Jurian's human lover did. And I said, Miriam?
Yep.
But I love that like book one, we're already
Hmm.
talking about Miriam.
Yeah, I think she'll come back into play, honestly. Um, you know. Also, Reese's face had gone pale, so pale. It is funny how she kind of always is tracking his
Mm-hmm.
distress.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's one of those tells to me. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
here it is. Um, wait, there's also this moment on through 393. Okay, sorry. Um, and then also another of the ordeal lines that I tracked was the top third of 393. I went somewhere far, far away from myself.
Mm-hmm.
That also was one of those moments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but then so she stabs her, went somewhere far away from herself, and then there's people like are stirring now and is like, okay, here it is the last one, and Amarantha is still smiling with only one person. Well, she wonders why Amarantha is still smiling, and then she glances at Rhys and his attention's fixed on Amarantha, And I don't know, I was just wondering, like, what is he thinking right now? Like, and what is he watching for? Is he like expect her to like kill her before she can and he's like poised to stop her? Or like
Maybe.
I don't know. But I just was like that line just piqued my interest. Did you think of anything of this or
I mean, I it did pique my interest, but I didn't underline it.
yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, I mean, who knows what I'm sure he's thinking like this fucking bitch, whatever, fuck
That
you.
or maybe
But
she's, like, screamed in her head, like, maybe she's like, "Ha she's gonna do it, she's gonna see Tamlin's face, she's gonna be so
and he's just
fucked
like
up,"
listening like this
and he
dumbass.
was just like, "What do you mean she's gonna see Tamlin's face? What?" Like,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
he knows right before she knows.
Yeah. Okay, that may make sense. Okay. So,
Then we have our epiphany moment.
yeah, eyes turn bright. Eyes turn so bright, defiant. Yeah, Tamlin is all kinds of emotional now, which
Yeah.
also helps. Like, if he is as the love interest of this book, it's like the floodgates kind of open, and it's like, okay,
Mhm.
we're getting there emotionally somewhere with Tamlin. And yeah, so the revelation. You mean just all her thinking through everything?
Yeah, when she realizes that his heart is made of stone.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much about like how she realizes that except for um
I underlined, like, the clues and how she gets there.
yeah.
But, like, right, the Attor in the garden, hidden, as hidden from me as I was from it. He wanted me to eavesdrop. Right, I was turning over his words like stones.
I
Milady
know, I
makes
love
no
that line.
bargain. Yeah, my milady makes no bargains that are not advantageous to her.
Who said
Not
that?
That's when they eavesdropped in the
The
when the
Attor
Attor was
says, "My lady."
the at yeah. So she's
Okay.
remembering that sentence. She would never kill what she desired most, not when she wanted Tamlin as much as I did. That's telling.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah. And then,
And,
of course, for someone with a heart of stone, you're certainly as soft these days. Though you have a heart of stone, Tamlin, you're certainly keeps a host of fear inside of it. So all of these references that she's remembering, and she's kind of saying like, you know, um, they wanted me to overhear it. They wanted, he glamored the Attor from me and me from it, and then brought it right to me so I could hear that conversation. He left those doors open so I could hear the conversations with Lucian. Like he tried to give me as much information as he could, and you're like, oh, that's a little like.
yeah, I thought it was funny. I was like, "Oh, him allowing you to be involved is suspicious to you?" Oh, it's
Well,
like,
and
funny.
yes, but also it could be that moment where we're like, "Oh, Tamlin was doing this stuff in the background. Tamlin was doing whatever he could." But then even at the end of it, she doesn't give Tamlin the credit. She gives Fate the credit, which is
Yes.
funny. Um,
Um, or puts Tamlin it's synonymous with fate.
fair, fair.
Um,
Um,
I also, yeah, the turning over like stones is like hot pun.
mhm,
But then, so it's interesting how Tamlin's not like if I'm Tamlin, I'm like trying to like telepathically be like, you
mhm,
can stab me. I'm like
yeah,
trying to give it away, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Nod, do something.
Here's the other thing is that so okay, because we had talked about with the Attor episode, we talked about like what if the Attor had mentioned something specific about the curse, and then he was like, "Why can't I say this? Who's here?" And like had
Yeah.
realized Feyre, but he did say something about the curse, but maybe because he's not say, like giving anything away directly, it's fine.
Mhm.
So because he technically did, but maybe that
Yeah.
just wasn't part of it.
Maybe you have to like knowingly say it to her.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay,
how she
so
knows, like, that's how the binding works, like, you can't choose to say something
but
about
then
the
couldn't
curse.
they just like be talking about the curse constantly, being like, "I need a
Mhm.
human girl," like so there must be some limit on it, or maybe they thought if she overhears that she will not be whatever. But okay, because my other thought was like the Attor's just giving stuff away. Like it's just kind of, but I don't know. It's
Yeah.
interesting that the Attor is the thing that allows her to have the realization because she overheard that conversation and Lucian, but that's
Yeah, but the
weird.
Attor, right, like, that's where she starts, she's like, "The Attor in the garden," and then it's the Attor's words again with, "My lady makes no bargains that are not advantageous to her." It's the Attor again and again, like, at least twice
And
that
it's
she's like,
Attor
"Oh,
taking Tamlin's
yeah,
place, like, it's
mhm,
weird, there's a lot of
yeah,
things lining up with the Attor.
mhm."
Plus, the other thing she overhears from the Attor is also a Highburn giveaway, or in the last
Yeah,
chapter, two chapters ago, whenever that was.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. It just makes you go, he's evil, but whatever.
Yeah, I did underline there was only that bold rebellion within his gaze, and again, I was like, here we are with the real Tamlin, all the emotion
Yes.
there, and maybe it's at the end of it or whatever, but again, there is that room to be like, when there's emotion, it's real Tamlin, when there's no emotion, it's Attor.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. So
Um,
this line was interesting to me. So when she figures out, right, Amarantha would never risk killing him because she knew I couldn't kill him. Not if his heart couldn't be pierced by a blade. Not if his heart had been turned to stone. And then, right, I scanned his face, yada yada. Perhaps I was wrong. Perhaps it was just a fairy turn of phrase. But all those times I'd held Tamlin, I'd never felt his heartbeat.
why is she
Okay,
just
but here's the thing. This could go a couple of ways,
Mhm.
but this could be that moment when Elaine tells Lucian, "I can hear your heart through the stone." That because everyone's like, "Oh, she's talking about Tamlin," right?
Mhm.
Because his heart was turned to stone. But he doesn't have a heartbeat when his heart is stone. So she
Yeah.
can't hear his heartbeat through stone.
And is his heart still stone now that Amarantha's dead?
I don't think so. I think they're released. But because I think he makes a joke about that in the second one where they're like, if I pierced your heart now, would it fucking hurt? Like would it kill you that now that the curses I think they say something in the second book, like there's some little
Okay.
snide comment like that. But yeah, I'm like, so it could be like, well, so this proves that Elaine was not talking about Tamlin because he doesn't have a
Mhm.
heartbeat when his heart is turned stone. Or
He's
it could be
coming
the
back?
opposite of that. Or it could be that only his mate can hear his heartbeat when it's turned to stone. And that's why Feyre doesn't hear it.
Mhm.
But also, that's how she controlled him and his magic, how she
Yes.
controlled all the High Lords,
Yes.
dominating and leashing them just to keep, as she had kept Jurian's soul tethered to that eye and bone.
And the
Are
tether language
all
is killing me too.
yes, but are all of the High Lords heart stones?
Or are they all tied to Tamlin's Heart of Stone? Like,
Like
I don't
what?
get it. And I'm like, she could just be, like, full of shit, like, she's just human favor
Yeah.
making some weird this was in just a few short chapters ago, she was like, "2, that's me and Tamlin, so maybe this is just wrong." But if
Three
it's not
sisters
wrong,
stuck in a shitty bed. Yeah. Uh
yeah, so
yeah.
maybe she's just wrong, but, like, also
Yeah,
it
sure.
feels like not the kinda place where you're just gonna, like, these are important moments, these are the chapters that,
So, yeah, like, it would make sense that she turned just his heart to stone,
yeah.
right? Because
Why do they
he's
all gotta
not
be turned to stone?
well, and he's not willing to give her his heart. So, yeah, she turns it to stone, right? You already have a
And
heart of
also,
stone.
if she's pulling well, I guess because Lucian's not High Lord yet. I was gonna say, is Lucian's Heart of Stone? But no.
Also, sorry, this brings me back to a
And
biblical
Rhys is there.
reference.
Okay.
This brings me back to a biblical reference. So, in Exodus, um, right, Moses, the Passover story, when
Mhm.
he goes back to Pharaoh and he says, "Let my people go," it says God hardened Pharaoh's
His
heart.
heart.
And
Yes.
that's why Pharaoh keeps saying no, right? Which is like a giant dick measuring contest between the gods because Pharaoh could have easily had said yes if God had not like hardened his heart. So it's like really like
Mhm.
all of it is really
I
still
always
on
hate
God.
I was always like, "This is mean. What you're not
Yeah,
letting him
yeah,
be a nice guy."
yeah, exactly. He's not letting him off the hook easy. And so it's interesting that we have Amarantha who is
The
hardened,
hardening
literally
Tamlin's heart.
hardening people's hearts.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Not that Amarantha is God, but she is
Hey.
killing babies, so there's that.
Yeah. So either Feyre is full of shit, this is Tamlin is two people, that's the answer, bullshit logic.
Yeah.
Or Feyre's got those Fey instincts from whatever the fuck is in her stupid ass blood, and she is spitting truth right
Mhm.
here. Or this is a pivotal moment, and we're just getting unexplained exposition dumps because that's
Yeah.
what you do, and this is true because
'Cause it says.
SJM said it so in this pivotal moment, and, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably go the route of Feyre was just talking some shit because that doesn't make any sense, but it is weird that she would think that, maybe she sort of thinks, like, like, she sapped the powers and that turns their heart to stone because 'cause they're, like, empty of power. I don't know, I think it's so crazy that she
But
made that
then
leap, but
here's another theory then.
okay.
If Lucian is the son of a High Lord, and we know that she gives him some power back, so at some point she took his power, is Lucian's heart not also stone? If all the High Lords who got their
Because he's
power
not High
stolen.
Lord yet. Because Helon's not dead. Or Baron. So maybe not? 'Cause that was my first thought too. I was like,
Yeah.
That was like when we first started talking, I was like,
Yeah,
"What about
because if
Lucian?"
because then if Elaine says, "I can hear your heart beating through the stone," then maybe his
Yes.
heart was stone too.
Yeah. I also just thought it was weird that it's a weird thing to never once bring up that you had noticed that someone's heart was never beating.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean you're just thinking back and you're like, "You know what? I never heard his heartbeat." Like, if I thought that at
Yeah.
any point, I'm like, "What? Are you dead? Are you why didn't you have a heartbeat?" And he's like, "Well, there's this long story." But
We
it's
can't
weird that
talk
you're, like,
about it.
thinking back.
Could you
I
imagine if
had
she's like,
never
"I don't." She's, like, laying on his chest after their one night of having having super mid sex, and her being like, "I don't hear your heartbeat," and he's like, "Yeah, I can't really talk about it."
Yeah, and that would make more sense for her to go, "That would explain the lack of heartbeat thing," but she
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah,
Instead,
but
she's
she
like,
just
"You know,
remembers
I
that
I
she's ne
remembered that I've never felt his heartbeat." That's the kinda shit you notice.
all those times I held Tamlin, how many times did you
Maybe
hold
they're
Tamlin?
cuddling in Glenn's type, maybe that's what I'm
Whatever.
talking about, but yeah, yeah, I wrote next to that, "That was how she controlled him? Huh?" Like, um,
Oh, it's
yeah,
wild. Yeah, mhm.
and I do like, the move after that, trust no one, Alice had told me, but I trusted Tamlin, and more than that, I trusted myself, and trusted that I had heard correctly, that Tamlin had been smarter than Amarantha, trusted that all I had sacrificed was not in vain. Um, yeah, but I do kind of like the trust in the self thing. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting also later down with the fate lines because
Mhm,
she's like, I could be wrong. And then she sees a smile on Tamlin's
mhm.
lips, and she's standing over him
It's
with
just
his
one it's
dagger
just his bottom lip smiles and not his
over his
top
lip.
lip.
Yeah. No, she sees a smile, and then she concludes there was such a thing as fate because fate had made sure I was there to eavesdrop. Fate had whispered to Tamlin that the cold, contrary girl he dragged to his home, would be the one to break the spell. Fate had kept me alive just to get me to this point to see if I had been listening. Also, silence and listening go very much hand in hand, which is
Well,
two big
and
things in this
again,
chapter. But
that fate speaks and that you can listen the way that Manon can hear
yeah,
fate, and she's a
yeah.
witch.
Yeah, but I just think it's interesting. She sees the faint smile on Tamlin's lips, and now she's believing in fates,
Yep,
uh, which
yep.
is, I guess it is very 19-year-olds, And then also, sorry, do you have anything to say about on any of that
No,
or before
I did I was a little perturbed by, there he was, my high lord, my beloved,
kneeling
kneeling
before
before
he?
me. I was like, "Oh, come
Yeah,
on."
maybe she just throughout the book she's gonna get all the High Lords to kneel before her once. Got
I
Rhys
mean,
and Tamlin checked off.
Lucian checked off.
Lucian kneels before her.
Yeah, at
Oh, in
the
the
at
ceremony.
in the ceremony. Yeah.
I bet you Tarquin did some kneeling and when he was showing her around for some kind of
Mhm.
maybe, I don't know. But
Helion's a big old man whore, he would love to kneel before her.
he would. He would.
Yeah.
He would love to double team that with Rhys. He would.
I do love that, like, Moore fucked Lucian's dad.
Yes. She
That
did. She
that
be fucking
that here's the
dads.
that Lucian's dad wants to bang the guy who is pining for Lucian's mate.
Oh, there's too many threads there. What? Lucian's dad wants to
Lucian's dad
bang the
wants to
guy.
bang
No.
so Helion wants to bang Asriel is what I'm getting at. That
Oh,
Helion,
he
who is
does?
yeah, because he was like, "I've been trying to get the 2 of you together for centuries."
Oh. that's right.
Helion's a big ol' like, "Let me get some of that bat wing, please." Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, I don't blame him, but yeah.
That's okay, yeah, I forgot about that. That was
Helion's
what he
like, "A
wanted.
threesome with Azrael and more? Fuck yes." And Lucian's like, "Daddy, no. Daddy, don't."
You're embarrassing me, dad.
Right?
Yeah.
"I don't wanna know
Yeah,
about your exploits." Bleh. Yeah.
but the kneeling before me, it's a good tell for her being a highlight. She got these men kneeling.
Yeah.
And then she rewards him. It's almost like she's like knighting him.
Yeah.
He kneels and she's like, yoink. Oh,
Yep.
I love
Yep.
you, and I stabbed him. Very, very dramatic. Very very quintessential line. Um
Mhm.
Also crazy. I just sorry, I looked at the next page and I was like, she stabbed him hard enough to break bones. That's crazy.
Well, she has to get through his chest plate,
I
like,
guess. That
his chest
just
bone, not his yeah, like,
seems so
same with
crazy.
the others, like, if you're gonna
We didn't
stab
talk
through
about that. Did
yeah,
it?
that's fair. No, I don't think so.
And I was like, oh, but I
And
guess yeah.
technically, if you angle it right, you can come up under the ribs, but, that's just me being a psycho.
hmm we read fantasy. We sure do. Um,
I no,
yeah.
I listen to true crime.
Oh,
Like
that too. Well, I feel like
yeah.
always in fantasies they're like, the weak girl has to be taught how to kill, and they're like, get in between this thing, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Outlander. There's a scene in that
Yeah,
where they do
yeah.
that with her,
Yeah,
and I
you
was
just come
like,
up from the bottom a little
just a
bit. You can also
fantasy
do it from the
trope.
back, that's a military way of killing somebody.
I think that's what they teach her actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you stick them in the back between the ribs, then you can get their lung and their heart at the same time, and then they don't make a noise.
Yeah.
So next week we are going to be looking at chapters 44 and 45 together. They're shorter chapters, so it'll be one episode with both chapters,
Uh-huh.
and then we'll be our final episode.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But the next two chapters are some of my favorite.
They are some of my favorite. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, cool. So, all right. So I'll see
exciting.
you next week for chapter 44 and 45.
So to the stars who listen, we will see you next week.
See you next week.